Community. I wanted to jump in and do a really fast quick tip about how to cut in Figma. That was not obvious to me when I first started working in Figma. If you're coming over from Illustrator or other vector programs, you might expect to see a cut tool or an erase tool or something like that, and Figma does not have any of those things. So I wanted to talk about cutting paths in Figma really quick. And let's just jump in here and really quick, for any pros that maybe are searching on this subject and just want to know how to cut real quick, let's just jump in here and do that real quick. I've created an icon frame here by 32 by 32. I'm assuming I want to try to make an icon. Let's say, for the sake of doing something real here, let's say we want to make an arrow icon. So what I would typically do to make an arrow in any other application I'm working in is I would probably just start with a square. I would probably rotate it 45 degrees, and then I would probably want a stroke on that instead of a fill. So, let's say I put my stroke on here, and then I would probably then want to, basically either open this shape up and delete some points or whatever. There's no obvious way to do that in Figma. It really threw me off when I was first in here. So what you have to do is you have to double click in. Once you double click into the vector shape itself, you will then have access to selecting points. Again, you still will not see any obvious erase tool or cut tool or anything like that. All you have to do is select a point. Now, if I select this point and I hit delete, it will open up that path and it will get rid of that point. But because I selected the point, it got rid of both segments as well. So let's say that, let's say for whatever reason that you just wanted to get rid of one of these segments. So you could go double click inside of the shape, and again, you can select the segments the same way you can select points. Figma's gotten a little bit better about this. It actually highlights segments when you select them now. It didn't used to do that. If you click delete on a segment, it will get rid of just that segment. So just beware that, if you're selecting points, it's going to delete everything that's connected to that point in terms of the segments that are connected. So what Figma used to do is Figma used to default to this. So what used to happen is if you selected a point and you click delete, this would happen. And you'd be like, okay, I wanted that shape open. Now how do I get that shape open? So let's undo that. So now they've switched the default behavior at some point. It was some point recently too, I think. I can't remember when they made this change, but now the default behavior is that it opens that shape up for you. And now if you want a closed shape like this, if you want to delete a point and have a closed shape, you actually have to hold the shift key while you're deleting, and that will keep the shape closed. So, and again, if you want that to be open, just delete. Same on segments as it is on points. So now if you want to get back out of this and get back out to your main icon or whatever, and you're done making your edits, we probably want to, if I was making a real arrow icon out of this, I would probably want to drag this in. So just like any other application, if you hold shift, it's going to lock that drag down for you so that it'll stay pinned where it's at, and you can just drag in, because I don't typically make my arrows that sort of carrot-like. I tend to like mine a little more shallow, and so if I was trying to create a shallow arrow, I'd do something like that. Now, when you get out here to the main file, here's another little trick, is when you get out to the main file, you'll see that because we started this with a square, you're still going to have this sort of square shaped bounding box around it. If that bothers you for any reason, you can basically do, Figma's got this idea of flattening things. So basically you can right click, you can do a right click or a control click or whatever. You should get this sort of secondary menu, and you can go in here and you can say flatten, or you could do, whatever the shortcut key is. It's Apple E for me since I'm on Mac. Since, PC, it might be a little different. It'd probably be, instead of command, it might be control or whatever it is on the PC. I don't remember. It's been a minute since I've worked on PC. Sorry, PC folks. I still got love for PC. I just don't work on them that much as anymore. So anyway, if you click this flatten, that will flatten it out and give you a bounding box that then adheres to the actual shape that you have. You can still go inside and still edit this shape and make changes to it. It just changes the bounding box on the parent object. So that's all there is to that. And there are some other things you can do. Like let's say we wanted to change this. I'll give you guys a few little bonus things for anyone that wants to hang around for a second. Let's say we wanted to change this, like if I was doing a real icon, I might want to do something a little bit softer than this. Like let's say I wanted to put some rounded caps. So you can go over here onto the right here, and you can see your sort of line options menu stuff here. If you drop those lines down, you can add an arrow to an end of a line or whatever to either side of the line, and we could change our end caps to round. So I would probably change my end caps to round here for an actual icon, if you will. I could go over here, and I could over here on the right again in my design properties panel here, and I could align that to the center or whatever, and now I've got my left arrow. And then if I wanted to duplicate that, I could duplicate that and and flip that and have my left, or I'm saying that backwards, I don't know why. Left arrow, right arrow, to be clear. So anyway, you could create your whole little sort of arrow set that way. There's some other little things you could do. If we select that line, we could also, I think we have to go back into the shape for this, but we could also say, or no, we don't, sorry. You can stay out here, but basically you can change some other things about the style. Like if you go over here to your little ellipsis and pop that open, you'll get some other settings. Like we could change stroke style. You could change to dashed or solid and change settings there. If we wanted to change the join to round so that we had a softer edge here on the point, we could do that. So yeah, I think, and then there's also, Figma's also recently added the ability to do an outline where you can actually outline stroke. So you can, again, if you right click, you can see outline stroke here if for whatever reason you wanted to outline that to make it scalable. And the reason you'd want to do that is, if you were creating an icon with a bunch of different sizes, like let's say you were doing icons at 32 by 32 and 64 by 64 as well, right? We could go in here and we could just we could lock this down and we could make a 64 by 64 shape, and then now because you've outlined that, when you scale this up to the 64 by 64 size, the stroke will scale with you. If you didn't want the stroke to scale with you, if you wanted to just still be able to control the stroke size, you don't have to outline, but it's totally up to you on how you want your stuff to scale and whether or not you still want access to that stroke and to be able to edit that at a later date or not. So anyway, that's just a couple little bonus things on working with lines and stuff inside of Figma. It was a little awkward for me when I came over from Illustrator. It seemed a little bit weird to me, so I just kind of wanted to share some of these tips with you guys. Hopefully that's helpful to someone else, because I still kind of have to remind myself of a few of these things. If I've been in Illustrator doing a lot of work in there and I come back to Figma, I have to constantly remind myself of how to cut line segments and stuff out. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. And if you're watching this in a country where you're celebrating Thanksgiving and you happen to be watching it today on November 24th, happy Thanksgiving to you. And if you're not, just happy day. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.